Asia Wilson has definitely been in the headlines these last couple weeks, man, in regards to Caitlin Clark news.
After a demanding rookie season, Caitlin Clark is enjoying her best life during the off-season by juggling well-earned time off from basketball with high-profile speaking engagements with legends like David Letterman. However, while Clark is busy being praised, a strange pattern has surfaced, and it all seems to point back to the same name: Wilson Asia.
Asia Wilson found herself in a situation involving Caitlin Clark again.
Following Clark's historic $100,000 virtual speaking fee, a tweet highlighting an intriguing leak from Wilson's camp has prompted. The internet was quickly filled with rumors of jealousy and pettiness, with fans asking why Wilson felt the need to re-enter the conversation. Was this a calculated attempt to keep up with Clark's increasing popularity, or was this just another instance of Wilson's privilege getting in the way of people's enjoyment? The comparisons are both hilarious and brutal, and the internet is buzzing.
I don't know what it is, but these women forever hating on CC, dog. It's looking real spooky out there for a bunch of these WNBA stars.
Regarding creating headlines following an incredible debut season with the Indiana Fever, in which she guided her team to their first postseason appearance since 2016, Caitlin Clark does it effortlessly. Caitlin's celebrity power has only increased, but what really sets her apart is how she's stealing the show during the off-season. Not with grandiose announcements or ostentatious endorsements, but with quiet, powerful moves that showcase her special combination of skill and personality.
But I think the thing about leadership is like how you approach every single person is going to be completely different. And I think the thing that's helped me be successful throughout my career has been the relationships that I've been able to build with people. And every single person you have to approach differently because they come from a different background, they come from a different place. Somebody can be a little more tenderhearted, and for me, I probably want to be screamed at. Like, it's just everybody's a little bit different. So I think that's what's unique about leadership and being able to understand people, but that takes time, and building relationships is really important.
At business gatherings, charity galas, and educational forums, Clark has transformed her voice into a potent instrument that captivates listeners. Her $100,000 fee for a 30-minute virtual session has set a new standard, earning her more from speaking for 30 minutes than her entire WNBA rookie salary of roughly $76,500. Her schedule is fully booked despite the steep price tag, from headlining events with business icons to recently sitting down with David Letterman. She is not just playing basketball, she is also influencing conversations about leadership, resilience, and health while being paid appropriately. Beyond the court, Caitlin has emerged as a symbol of inspiration. She has counterbalanced her hectic schedule of appearances with pro golf competitions. She has stayed laser-focused on what really matters, taking care of her health and preparing for the future, despite community service and off-season training. In recent interviews, she acknowledged, "I need a break from basketball," which is a rare but welcome admission in today's culture of constant hustle.
I feel like basketball has really consumed my life for a year, so I feel like it'll be good for me to kind of reflect back on everything that's happened. Like, I feel like taking some time to myself and really enjoying that and reflecting back.
While Caitlin seems content to let her actions speak for themselves, a series of suspiciously timed leaks hinted at jealousy and competition. While Caitlin herself has remained above the fray, one particular WNBA star seems determined to pull her into the spotlight with a curious leak. What happens when Asia Wilson, the reigning MVP, suddenly enters the narrative with a curious leak? Is this an innocent coincidence or something far more calculated? This focus on balance has only increased her appeal. Fans adore her not only for her skills, but also for her humility and sense of perspective. Let us examine the drama.
Asia Wilson is currently back in the headlines after news surfaced. She's charging $100,000 for speaking events.
Caitlin Clark's offseason has been a display of poise and professionalism, seamlessly combining speaking engagements, golf appearances, and well-earned rest. Meanwhile, Wilson has made headlines, not for her accomplishments, but for a curious tweet that claimed she charges a staggering $110,000 for 30 minutes of virtual appearances, which sparked an online debate right away. At first glance, this seemed like a typical celebrity flex, but the timing couldn't be more convenient. The revelation came just days after Clark's $100,000 speaking fee was made public. Although Wilson's purported price was viewed with suspicion and, let's be honest, a few eye rolls, Clark's performances demonstrated her marketability and discipline.
She's talking about, she's charging $100K for speaking events, and fans is like, Shrek? Since when? And you only doing this because of Caitlyn.
Social media users immediately recognized the pattern and asked why this leak occurred immediately after Clark's headlines. One fan mockingly remarked, "It seems like A'ja Wilson has an alarm set to go off whenever Caitlyn Clark is mentioned." The fans' reactions were unmistakable, and they saw this as just another attempt to shift the focus back to Wilson.
A'ja Wilson is the queen of the delusion. She's absolutely the queen of the delusion.
However, there's more. Recall that both Wilson and Clark turned down offers from the new 3-on-3 basketball league, and Clark's decision was made for well-documented reasons. These included her desire to take care of herself after a demanding season and her desire to avoid playing during the off-season. Wilson's camp, however, soon revealed that her offer was even greater than Clark's, even though her justifications were much more generic. One fan said, "You could have just said no and kept it moving."
It's crazy because literally nobody asked, and sources close to A'ja Wilson decided to answer anyway.
This is a trend rather from only speaking fees, or being unmatched. Following the AC's humiliating playoff performance, Wilson's Nike shoe launch caused other athletes' releases to be delayed, igniting a debate about preferential treatment. Her moves became a meme as fans began to view them as calculated attempts to remain relevant in a field dominated by Clark's authenticity and humility. Although Caitlyn Clark has never mentioned Wilson, never alluded to a rivalry, and is still focused on her career, Wilson's persistent attempts to outdo her present a very different image, and the fans are taking notice and voicing their opinions clearly. We understand that viewing this video takes up some of your time, so please remember to like, subscribe, and enable all notifications if you've made it this far and are enjoying it. Let's get back to the action.
So what do you think it'll be, Josh? Don't piss me off. Do not piss me off.
Wilson's talent is undeniable, her accolades speak for themselves, and her approach to fame and competition has frequently elicited mixed reactions. If the leak was intended to elevate Wilson's profile, it only brought attention to something that fans had been complaining about for years. Let's start with the notorious Nike shoe launch. Fans remember when Wilson's signature line took center stage, reportedly delaying releases for other players. It wasn't just about the sneakers, though. It was a metaphor for how Wilson's career has been positioned as untouchable. When you're in Asia, the world waits even when it doesn't want to, and the phrase "privilege on display" trended on X.
Fortunately, they signed the woman to build a brand around. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Caitlyn Clark. Instead, in the early Clark era, Nike stock has tanked over the span, and the CEO just got ousted. By the way, though Clark got famous around 22, if you want to buy her shoe, you could be waiting until 2026 or 2027.
The story of privilege goes beyond branding. The unmatched compensation and the leaked speaking fee comparison were the last straw for many, while Clark subtly established her brand on performance and genuineness. Perhaps the most important lesson is the widening divide between how followers view these two celebrities. Wilson's gestures frequently seem planned to demand attention whether it's necessary or not, as one fan observed that Clark inspires without trying, and Wilson tries too hard and fails every time. While Wilson's deliberate actions frequently cause viewers to doubt her intentions, Clark's grounded, team-focused personality continues to win hearts, and as this most recent backlash demonstrates, the audience is no longer believing it.
Age reminds me a lot of you. Like, it's not really about me. And she knows how her privilege has gotten her to that point. And also, like, she's good at basketball, obviously. But, like, she understands her privilege. It's like, it's just her over the top, in a sense. It reminds me a lot of you. And I mean, that's a compliment.
Speaking of Unrivaled, its inaugural season was meant to transform women's basketball, but the loss of both Caitlyn Clark and Wilson has left the league in disarray. The league was founded on the promise of elite talent and groundbreaking equity stakes, and its marketing strategy mainly relied on star power. Now, that foundation is collapsing.
Throughout the year, WNBA players were demanding to be given credit for elevating the league. Angel Reese claimed that she, along with their pretend friends in the mainstream media, they wanted us to believe that the WNBA was exploding in popularity. They wanted to keep all the credit for themselves while downplaying the impact of the only star in the league, Caitlin Clark.
Angel Reese said that she and her fictitious friends in the mainstream media wanted us to think that the WNBA was booming in popularity and that they wanted to keep all the credit for themselves while downplaying the impact of the league's sole star, Caitlin Clark, on the roster. Throughout the year, WNBA players demanded credit for elevating the league. Rivalry was intended to be a show, but it ended up being a huge letdown. The empty wildcard seats intended to hint at Clark and Wilson's possible participation were perceived as last-ditch efforts to capitalize on their names without making a solid commitment. Social media was inundated with memes ridiculing Unrivaled for exaggerating what it failed to provide. You can't call it unmatched when it's just unmet expectations for Clark, as one viral post summed it. Her refusal to join the league solidified her status as a player with clear priorities. She didn't require Unequaled to support her brand because of her busy schedule and explosive career. By leaving, Rise demonstrated that sometimes little is more and let her words speak for themselves. Fans applauded her choice, pointing out that Caitlin stood out from the crowd by refusing the offer.
Obviously, they've tried to do everything they could to make the most of the situation. They tried to make the most of Caitlin Clark not playing by hinting everything and basically making people think that Caitlin Clark was going to play.
However, Wilson's strategy presented a very different picture. Although the leak about her alleged greater offer made news, it also served to further opportunistic and privileged narratives. Fans weren't afraid to draw attention to the differences between the two actors. One ex-user said that Clark's quiet was telling. Wilson's leaks seem needless and noisy.
I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna try to be the best. I get y'all saying best player in the world. That's great. It looks great. But I want to be the best person. I want to be the best teammate because that's how I get the best out of my team.
Without its two iconic names, Unrivaled, the fallout is an existential problem rather than merely a PR catastrophe. The league has a difficult time persuading players and supporters of its legitimacy. Without a cornerstone, many doubt its capacity to attract large audiences and attention. As the 2025 season approaches, talent like Clark and Angel Reese, one of the league's few surviving headliners, must now share the unenviable burden of leading the league's debut season. One thing is obvious. The dust has cleared for the time being, but the tale of Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson is about more than simply basketball. It's about what it takes to genuinely win over fans. Fans have been deeply impacted by Caitlin Clark's choice to politely decline Unrivaled, not just because of what she said, but also because of what she didn't say. She allowed her actions speak for her, putting her job and well-being before of immediate benefits, her humility, her focus, and her capacity to remain above. Her status as a generational force in women's basketball has only grown stronger because to the fray.
Everybody talks about the effect that we have on them, but also they have the same effect on us. And I think that's what's really cool about it is to see how much joy it really brings them and it brings their families, and that one game where they spend 2 hours of their whole entire year has such an impact on their entire childhood, and I think that's really cool to think about.
Wilson's leaked stories, on the other hand, have left more questions than answers. Why did her team feel the need to draw attention to her offer, particularly after Clark's tacit rejection of many? It appeared more like a publicity stunt than a sincere declaration. The criticism has been Swift's failure to land its dream stars has been a humiliating experience, as fans have criticized the band for what they perceive to be an unneeded attention-grabbing stunt. Without the two names that could have characterized its inaugural season, the league now confronts the monumental burden of proving its value. While the future is uncertain, one thing is certain: hype alone cannot establish credibility. As we anticipate the 2025 WNBA season, the sharp contrast between Clark's ascent and Wilson's story teaches us important lessons about humility and leadership and the value of honesty. As Wilson's story develops, Clark's path demonstrates that true excellence is about how you conduct yourself off the court as much as what occurs on it. The patience of the public might be waning. What do you think? Will Wilson's route be correct, or will the narrative of privilege continue? Please let us know in the comments by turning on all notifications and subscribing so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.